Okay, we're learning a little Nishmas Gitchin Bas Shimon, my wife's grandmother of Lake House fame. She was beloved by Heshi and Lenny, and we will go on. So it says how to say something. Anyway, so yesterday we saw the pasuk Lo Yachbol Rechayim V'Rochev Ki Nefesh Hu Chayvel. You can't go ahead and take a mill. Not only you can't take a mill, you can't take we'll view the mill as two distinct parts. We'll view the upper part, the Rochev, and the lower part, the Rechaim, as two distinct things. And if you take him, you be chayiv twice. We saw Toisvis that said, afilu one ashara, one hasra, would be mechayiv me twice. The end of the pasuk says, Hinefeshu chayvel. Rav Huna learned that is a third, if you get third malchus, Hinefeshu chayvel. And Rabbi Yehuda said, no, that's going on, that any other object that would be associated with Oichel Nefesh, right, similar to Rochav Rechaim, you would be Chayiv. And we left off yesterday with a Brisa as a right to Rabbi Yehuda. You Chayiv twice, you're not Chayiv 3 times. We conclude the Perek with a Maisa, and then we'll begin, Bez Hashem, the last Perek in Baba Metzia, Perek Habayis V'Aliyah. Okay, so we're up to Kuf Tes Zayin Amid Aleph. We're pretty much almost halfway down the page, where it says Hahu Gavra. The first word on the line is Gavra. Hahu Gavra. Hahu Gavra the Chabal Sakina.
Sorry, where's the place, Lays?
Tes Zayin Amid Aleph, right? The halfway mark. You see the Toisvis Semed Shal Paros?
Yes, yes.
That up a few lines.
Okay, got it. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So it says that Ahu Gavra, there was this individual, the Chabal Sakina da Ashkafta Mechavre. He took a Sakina da Ashkafta. Rashi seems to say it's a knife that they would butcher meat with. The Rosh and other Mefarshim say it was a chalaf, a knife used for shchita, which would be very much Oichel Nefesh, right? Very much associated with Oichel Nefesh. So we'll keep it as that it's a knife that was for shchita, or in the vernacular, a chalaf. Asl kamei dabaya. Now the question is, are you allowed to take this? Again, the Mishnah said, the pasuk said that anything that is hinefesh chayvel, that has to do with oichel nefesh, you're not allowed to take that as a mashkin. So this fellow took it as a mashkin. Some Abaya told him, Zila Hadre, go give it back to him. The Havile Kli Oisim Ba'oichel Nefesh, it's a Kli that they used to make food, and we know you can't take that as a mashkin. V'takum b'dina Allah, and then take him to court. Look at Rashi, guys. One before it gets wide, one line up. V'takum b'dina, tabuyu l'din al chayvcha. Go ahead, make your claim in court about your chov, about your ode. In mod l'cha, if he's moded to you, or im yesh edim, or you have edim, yishalem. V'im lav, and if he's not moded to you, or you don't have edim, then you shava shuas hesis. You'll make the shuas hesis that you'll take. So, but you're not allowed to take this mashkin. You're unable to take this mashkin. Okay, so now that's what Abaya said. The Rabbi says, "Leitzarich lemekim bedina Allah." You don't have to take him to court. You can claim up to the amount the knife is worth. In other words, let's say your chayiv is $500, and the knife is worth $400. You have in your power $400. You do not have to make a claim on that $400. That you have that $400 because the fact that you have that knife in your hand says, Rava, you have a migu. Migu, believe me, owes the money. Migu, I could have said I bought the knife. Migu, believe me, he owes the money, and I'm returning the knife to him because I could have gone ahead and said it's my knife. Says Rava. Look at Rashi, guys. Rava Amar, second line before where it's wide. Even the mashkene, since he took it as a mashkin, there ain't edim shemashkenai, and there's no edim that he took it as a mashkin. There's no edim whatsoever. So all he has is this knife in his jurisdiction. He's holding on to this knife. He's able to claim l'kuchi biyadi. I bought it. He's able to claim l'kuchi biyadi. It's mine, and therefore leitzarich lemekim bedina elave. Right? You're not able. You don't have to go ahead and take him to din on the value of this knife. The konale mashkin, he goes ahead and he's koine the mashkin le'inyan ma lishava, to swear v'litel ad kedei damav, to swear that there's a loan out there and he could take the value. So interesting, Rava comes up with this fantastic migu out of the blue, and that seems to hold court, that if you have something in your possession and you return it to the person, you should be able to collect that amount. Migu to say, it doesn't belong to the other person, I bought it. So the fact that you return it, the value, you do not have to take him to court. Anything more, let's say in my scenario, 500, the extra 100, you'll have to go ahead and take a claim in court, make him swear, whatever. If he's maida, whatever it would be. But regarding the amount, the value of this, Migu, you could have said Lakuchi biyadi. Migu, you could have said Lakuchi biyadi. Therefore, what, you don't have to, that's Rabbi's there. Fred Gemara, Abaya Leslie Hai Svara. Abaya does not hold Hai Svara, the Svara of Lakuchi biyadi. Maishna mehanu easy, the achol chulsha binardoi. You had a case, you had these goats, and they went ahead and they ate chulsha. Rashi says chulsha was peeled barley. They ate a gansa field of peeled barley. The asamar the chulsha v'tafas lahu. The owner of the barley came and he chapped the goats, the kotoyin tuva, and he said that what? That they ate a tremendous amount of barley. I guess maybe more than the goats are worth. He's able to claim whatever, I don't know more, but in whatever the goats are worth, he's able to claim. Why, guys? He can say, these goats are mine. So why does a buyer not buy into it? Believe me that what? That these goats ate the barley, and this is what I'm owed. And Migu, I could have said that what? That these goats are mine. Fred the Gemara, Rava, it has an ironclad proof from the case of what? Of these goats of Nahardoi, and we see you do say this Migu. Believe me that what? That I owe this amount of money. Migu, I could have said Lekuchi biyadi, and therefore you should be able to collect the value of the mashkin. Okay, says the Gemara. There's a difference between the sakin that was taken and the difference between the goats. Fellas, do people rent out goats? No. Do people rent out knives? Yes. So listen to the svara. When do you have the svara of Lekuchi biyadi? That if it's something that's not normally lent or rented out. Since it's not lent and rented out, why is it in my possession? Oh, you know why it's in my possession? I bought it. So when I say that what, it's yours, I have a migu. But if it's something that's rented out or lent out, the fact that it's in my jurisdiction isn't a raya of bilis. It's not a raya of ownership. Why? I could have gone ahead and borrowed it. And therefore, you don't have the migu of Lekuchi biyadi. So by goats, you have the migu because they're not normally lent out. But by the case, so that's why Abaya disagrees. Says the Gemara, Hasam lav midi de over there by the goats are not something people usually rent out or lent out. And therefore, what? The fact that he has them in his rishus, and he could have said Lekuchi biyadi, he's believed to go ahead and collect vis-a-vis the kedei demayim, their amount. Pacha, over here by the knife, midi de shule agorihu, it's something that's usually what? Lent and rented out. And since it's lent and rented out, you don't have the migu, and therefore Abaya says, take him to court. The Shalach Rav Huna bar Ravin, where do you see this svara, this distinction between something that's lent and rented out versus what something is not? The vorim asuyim lehashel ula haschir, something that's normally lent out or rented out. V'amel kuchi biyadi einu neman is not believed. Good. So now, guys, Abaya's. We just turned the tables. L'chayr, it's a great svara, yeah. So what's Rava's svara? If the fact that he has the knife in his jurisdiction, fellas, is no raya. You know why? Because maybe he lent it to him. So now the ball is in Rava's court now to sort of go ahead and explain himself. The Rava Leslie Haisvarava Rava Afik Zuga de Sarbala. Rava got ahead. He grabbed a knife that was used to go ahead and shear sheep, I think. With Sifra da Agadata, and also a book of Agadata. And these are things that are normally lent. Miyasme. He collected them from Yisonim. This person, the Leva died. The Leva died, and the Malva is now claiming, it's not a case of Leva Malva, excuse me. It's a case of Mashal and Shoyal. So the Shoyal died. The Mashal is claiming that the books of Agadata and or this shearing knife is mine. Right? why don't you say Lekuchi Biyadi? Because it's something that's normally what? Lent and rented out. So l'chayra, now you have a problem. Because you see, Rava does agree with this. Because Rava, for her Rava himself, Afik Zuga the Sarbala Miyasmi, that he took out the Suga, the Sarbala of the Sifra, the Agadata, he collected from the Yisraimim. Obviously, the Yisraimim are not believed to say our father bought it, right? So therefore, why does Rava by the knife say, why is the knife, since it's something that's lent out, why would Rava say you could collect the value of the knife? And the Gemara answers, here, Rava, hi nami, this knife, kivon de mifkama. I was wondering the whole Gemara when I said it. If I'm a shoichet, the last thing I'm lending out is my knife. I mean, we know the shchita that if there's a pagam in the knife, it renders the shchita puzzle. This is something that this is precious and this it's something that you're going to be very, very careful. So it's very geschmack now. It's not something that's lent out, and therefore Rava Gufo what said you do have the migu. So that's the Rava said kivan de nifkama. Since you could go ahead and get the knife, get a nick in the knife, kapti inshiv moishli, people are makbid and they don't lend out the knife. Therefore, you will be able to collect the mayhem because believe me that I owed this amount of money. That what migu I could have said that it was klukli biyadi, and therefore you can collect the amount of the mashkin. On that note, hajjan alecha makabel, hajjan alecha makabel, hajjan alecha makabel. As we enter as they say in the vernacular, the home stretch, the last parak in again along the Sechta, Geshmaka Mesechta, Sechta parak Bayis Valiyah.
That's forward by the knife of Shchita has implications by Muktzah also. Hilchah Shabbos.
But I mean, that's you can't move it because it's a Saran kiss, right? It's something that but it's Muktzah Machmas Saran kiss because the person, right? That is true. That is true. Okay. Anyway, we're up to the Mishnah. You have a two-family house. Rashi says, "Bayis v'aliyah sheshnayim kigoin shnei achim," two brothers, shecholku, and they divided up the estate, and it's a duplex. Echad natal bayis, echad natal aliyah. One takes the lower floor called the bayis, and the other one takes the aliyah, which is literally the attic, but again, it means a duplex, a lower floor and an upper floor. Shal gaba. V'avonim shel choymes habayis, min tikra habayis hatachtoina, shikar seha, shel aliyah, ulamayla shel elyon, v'himna ulamata shel tachtoin. So in other words, so view it as a duplex. The bricks, the offer, the wood that belongs in the aliyah belong to the bal aliyah, and so in other words, it's not a house that's owned by one and rented out. It's owned, I guess condominium, right? It's one guy owns the bottom and one guy owns the top, but you have ownership of this. Now it's going to fall in, and the question is, how do you divide it up? How do you divide up the debris? Okay, so the classic cases, if you don't know, we'll say cholkin, which is the Mishnah is a bit cryptic because there's three cases in the Mishnah. So Abayis v'aliyah shel shnayim, two people, shenaflu, shneim cholkin. They both divide. Guys, shnayim machs and betalis. You begin the Masechta, yechloku, right? So you end the Masechta the same thing, right? Shnayim, that you're going to go ahead one and you're going to divide. What are you going to divide? Be'etzim ma'avonum ba'afer. You're going to divide the wood, you're going to divide the bricks, and you're going to divide the mortar, the offer, the schmutz, not the dirt. Now, the royin elu avonim asuyas l'shtaber, right? And we'll view these avonim that are roy to break. We'll see what that means. That's case number 2. And case number 3, if one of them recognizes partially his stones, and will take it off against the cheshbon. So 3 cases, guys. The first case, cholkin. The second case, it depends where it breaks. Or the third case, if you recognize, then what you recognize you take, and it goes according to the cheshbon. This is a very cryptic Mishnah. The Gemara will explain cases A, B, and C. Case A, midiktani royin. When we view the second case, we'll view these vadim, right? Mechal de ikel lemekem alayu, right? It's possible to ascertain If it collapsed, or it fell like this, guys. If it falls like collapse, you would know the stones that are broken would be the stones of the bottom stones the chayr got smashed in, and the top stones would be intact. If on the other hand it fell like this, guys, look, it fell like this. Obviously, this could see the stones that are a distance away. That is going to be from the top. Just the laws of physics would go ahead. So the laws of gravity in case number one, the law of physics in case number two, we can ascertain who belongs to what. That's the second case. Now, from the second case, we're going to make an inference into the first case. Okay? So now, in the second case, what does it say? If that's the case, then Reisha amai cholkin nichsi ibechavot nafol. If it went ahead and fell like a stick, aliyasa itbar. Then the ones that are broken are the upper ones because they fell the distance away and they're going to break. Ibechavot nafol. Then the tayifer, and if it collapsed, it was the bottom ones that broke. That's why it collapsed in the first place. So you hear, guys, you hear from case B, we can ascertain what case A is speaking about. So if that's the case, why cholkin? When do we say cholkin? When we don't know. But you see, in case B, we're able to ascertain. So if case B you can ascertain, case A also you should be able to ascertain. So why cholkin? Says the Gemara, leitzricha denafel b'layla, fell at night. Fell at night. Fair the Gemara, so big deal. Right? Check it out in the morning. Again, we look at the laws of gravity and physics. We'll be able to tell exactly what happened over here. So good, it broke at night. So in the morning, you could see if it fell like a stick, or in the morning, you can see if it's collapsed. If it fell like a stick, the broken ones are the upper guys. And if it fell like a collapse, then the bottom ones are broken, and the top ones are intact. It says, they had they cleaned it up. Came along the sanitation department and cleaned it up. Go ask the one, right? So go ask. It says, it was cleaned up by the people of Rishus Harabim, and they went. In other words, the first case is in Ukimta. When do we say Abaisli a Cholkin? Is you have no way of knowing. So what happened? We don't know. It happened at night, and they came and they took a bulldozer and they took everything away. So now you have a pile of debris. You can now, if you have a pile of debris that's not in its place, so you don't know how it broke. So what do? Cholkin. But Einochinami, if you would see the way it collapsed, you wouldn't say Cholkin. If it collapsed like a stick, you would know who the upper broken ones belong to. If it collapsed like straight down like gravity, then you would know the bottom ones broke, and that's why it collapsed in the first place. And therefore you would know. Okay, now, in dealing in any sveikus, fellas, one of the things we always take into account is in whose jurisdiction is it? Hamotzi mechaveru olav raya, right? You have to bring a raya. This, again, we finish Bab Metzia like we begin Bab Metzia. You have a suffix. One of the ways of, you're going to, moment al we see you have money, right? We saw two opinions throughout the Masechta. Moment al b'suffix, whether Hamotzi mechaveru or the din of sumchis. Guys, the din of sumchis, that moment al b'suffix. But be aware, guys, I'm going to remind you of something. When does sumchis say is din? That's when there's no muchsik. Guys, remember sumchis is din? You have a shor, it goes ahead, it shtoises another shor, and the shor was pregnant, and you don't know if the baby came out as a result of the goring or it came out afterwards. Remember, that was the case. In that case, there's no muchsik. There's no, you don't know, there's no muchsik, there's nothing. Where there's a muchsik, however, he doesn't say is din. Whoever we said that's the idea that the animals in the agam, it's in the swamp. I'm just reminding you of something that I think we do remember, kind of, because it's so seminal to all of Baba Metzia. So for Gemara Kasha now, let's see whose rishus it's in. It says Gemara, v'lichsi b'rishus deman yasvin, whose rishus is it sitting in, and the other person will be a Metzia Mechaberei, l'Avi Idach, a Metzia Mechaberei, l'Avaraya. And even sumchis guys would admit over here it's a Metzia Mechaberei. Why? Because you have a muchsik. It says more like tzricha the yasvin b'chotza the travayu. It's in the chotza that's owned by both of them. So you don't. There's no Metzia Mechaberei because there is no muchsik, because they both own jurisdiction over there. Inami Rishus Harabim could be it's in Rishus Harabim and there's no muchsik. Like that would fit in very good. The Rishus Harabim cleaned away the debris and they put it in the Rishus Harabim. Partners who in an area like this, they're not makbid. Listen, Aliyah's got to come down. He's got to walk through. If it's the guy below who owns the property, then it's problematic. So therefore, they're mafka to each other the rights, and therefore le'inyan muksik, there's no muksik. So he pshatim, either because what? It's because that it's because that what it's a chutzah that they were both owned, or Rishus Harabim, or they're mafka to each other. Okay, that's case number one. That's case number one. So Abayis Aliyah shel shneim shenaflu shneim cholkin beitzim v'avonim b'afer. When is when the Rishus Harabim, when it was cleaned up and you don't see how it broke, and therefore you don't know, and it's either being muksik by both of them, either because they own both of them, or it's Rishus Harabim or what, or they're not makbid. Next case, v'royin elu avodim asuyis l'shtaber. Okay, and we said that was the case. The Mishnah said if you can recognize the way it falls, then you would go ahead and you would know who's what. And then the third case was in makir echad, guy recognizes his thing. So what does he do? He takes his what? His stuff. So guy walks in and goes, oh, that's my brick, that's my brick, that's my brick. I recognize this one, this one, this one. What's the other guy saying? You're busy going ahead, going through the debris and taking this one, this one, this one. And what about you? Says the Gemara, the other fellow, as this guy's collecting his bricks and his offer and his collecting his eitzim. What is the other guy tying him? If the guy says, you're right, that's your brick. It's got your kid's handwriting on it from inside the wall, right? You recognize it, the scribbling. So pshita, if it's your brick, then it's pashit. If it's pashit, that what? So what's the Mishnah telling me that what that you take it? The loyama in, and if he didn't say yes, it's your brick, lama noitel. How could you take it, fellas? This is there's no muksik over here. What gives you the right? Because you say it's yours, I say it's not yours. So how can you just take it? Okay. Okay. Now he says, I don't know. So now, guys, this is a case of what that we've had also. I love this because it's great chazara. This is your case of bari b'shema. This guy's saying, bari, it's my bricks. This guy's saying, shema, I don't know. And what does our Mishnah say? Our Mishnah says, bari adif, because you're taking it, which was a machloikis tanoim, amaroyim, that we saw earlier in Masechta Baba Kama and earlier in this Masechta, as we go through it again. Very important machlokes. So therefore, it must be, he said, Eini Adea, I don't know. Leimer tavi tiyufta de Rav Nachman. Let's suggest that this is a machlokes, an upshlag on Rav Nachman. The Itmar, Monali biyotcha, you have $100 of mine in your hands. V'alo ama Eini Adea, and the other guy says, I don't know. Rav Huna, Rav Yehuda Amar Chayiv, because Bari v'Shema, Bari Adif. Rav Nachman, Rav Yochanan Amri. It's interesting. We didn't say Kashan Rav Yochanan. We said Kashan Rav Nachman. Same thing. It bothered me the last time. Rav Nachman, Rav Yochanan Amri, Pata, Kida. Okay. So what? So again, in this case over here, this would be our Mishnah would not be according to Rav Nachman. Why is this guy getting the stones? Because Bari Adif, or else why is he getting it? Good. So how can Rav Nachman learn Pshat in this Mishnah? And for the Gemara, Kidam Rav Nachman, going sheyes esek shua beinayim. Hachanami going sheyes esek shua beinayim. When we had this kasha before, fellas, we established it's a case of moida b'miktsas. So, guys, outside, classic case of moida b'miktsas. Where's my $100? I only owe you 50. So I admit 50, and I'm denying the other 50. You swear, and you get off the hook. What about this? Where's my $100? I owe you 50, and I'm not sure about the other 50. Ain't a day on the other 50. Now, he's really supposed to make a shua boidim mixas, but he can't because he doesn't know. So why do we say mitoich she'eni yochel l'shavar? Since he can't swear, mishalem he will pay. Again, this is worth going over again. It's such a, again, big nakuda in the Masechta, and I'm happy it's coming up again. Classic mode of mikzas, one of the 3 shvuos deraisa, right? You owe me $100. Where is it? Because I only owe you 50. The other 50, lahadam nishket soigen nishket floigen, never was. He swears that he owes you 50. He's off the hook. Remember, every shvuah deraisa, you don't swear and take. You swear and you pater. Next, this case over here, where he's going to pay, is the following. He's a modem mikzas that he can't swear. Where's my 100? I know I owe you 50. I'm not sure about the other 50. Now, what's he supposed to do? Swear I only owe you 50? That would be a lie, because on the other 50 he doesn't know. Mitoch she'ena yachal l'shava, since he can't make the shvur that he's supposed to, mishalem he pays. These are my rocks. You know what? You're right. Some of them are your rocks. I know, Amoida. All of them, but part of them I don't know. Mitoch she'ena yachal l'shava mishalem. That's how Rav Nachman's Galib Shah in the Mishnah says the Gemara. There's an Asik Shvua of Moedim and Mikzas, and they can't swear. Hachanami over here in our Mishnah, what exactly is the case of Asik Shvua? Kid Rava, like Rava. Dama Rava, Monali biyadcha, you have 100 of mine in your hands. Only 50. The Hashar and the other 50, Eini Yoidea. Since he can't swear the shvuah moedim mikzas, yishalem, and that's what our Mishnah is speaking about, according to Rav Nachman. He's moida to part of the stones, the other part he doesn't know, and therefore that's why he pays in the stones. Okay, now it's the Mishnah concluded for oilis lo min hacheshbin. Okay, so let's get a case like this. We have a case of you have 100 stones. 50 are broken and 50 are whole. 50 are broken and 50 are whole. So 200 stones. 100 go to one, 100 go to the other. Each person gets 50 whole, each person gets 50 broken. That's your classic wad. Okay, now, this person says, I recognize some of them. He is now taking them. How does the division work? He doesn't get more stones. Does he get more whole stones? In other words, would we add of the 50, he knows another sama his. So would he get like 70 and 30, and the other person, we get off other person's cheshbon? Or no? Do we say he always gets that amount? He'll always get 50, right? He'll always get 50, and it'll be limited to those 50. But of the 50, he'll get specific ones. The ones that he recognizes. So does it change the cheshbon or not? Does it change the cheshbon of shleimus or not? According to one opinion, yes. According to one opinion, no. Says the Gemara, Sava Rava Lemeimar, Lefi cheshbon shavuros. The cheshbon of shleimus go versus the cheshbon of shvuros. In other words, he's going to get 30 shvuros and 70 shleimus. So he gains. And the other person is going to lose. He's only going to get 20 shleimus, and he'll get 50. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get the shleimus. What he should have got 50. Now he's only going to get 30, and he's going to get 70 broken. It's going to go reverse split. It says so. Sava Rava Lemeimar the cheshbon shvuros. He gains the whole, what he gains, and it goes keneged the shvuros, and he'll get more. He'll get more whole. Alma. Even the Amar Eini Yodea, since the other person, again, according to what Rav Nachman says, and the Mishnah says, I don't know on the others, Riyah Tvei, it's bad for him. Because like this, he was going to get 50 shleimus, and now he's only going to get 30 shleimus. Amalei Abaya Adarabba, Riyah Tvei. The person who recognizes it is in a worse state. Midahani Yoda, when he recognizes these ones, Tfei Lo Yoda, he doesn't recognize the other ones. Right? And therefore, Sulesle, the Idach Kulo Dehechninu. And therefore, the rest should belong to what? To the other person. In other words, guys, this person who's so sure of himself and says, oh, I recognize those. So it's a reyesa that in fact he doesn't recognize the other ones. So in other words, there's no way he's getting 70. He's only going to get 50. He's only going to get 50. He's not going to get 70. You're not going to increase the load of the shleimais versus the shurais. And here's what you're going to do. So if he's get 50, says the Gemara, El Amabaya if he cheshbon shleimais. The cheshbon of the he recognizes. He recognized 20 more, right? That goes according to the cheshbon of shleimais. So in other words, he's always going to get 50, but out of the 50, he's going to get these 20, and then he's going to additional 30. So he's not gaining, apparently, correct? He was, guys, outside. He was going to get 50 beforehand. He's going to get 50 now. But of the 50 that he gets now, 20 are ones that he designated, right? So the Gemara is going to ask them, what did he gain? What did he gain? Bishleim alay Rava, you're telling me he gains an extra amount of shleimos. I understand what he gains. But loyda baya, what did he gain? He was going to get 50 before. He gets 50 now. What did he gain? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you what he gained. Let's say they were wider stones for a frame. In other words, so he's getting better stones. Inami tina de ma'avta, or what? It's made from a better quality clay. So by knowing which stones are his, it could be those stones are superior. If we go not recognize them at all, then it would be 50-50 of the shleimos, and it's pot luck. But now that he recognizes, the 20 that he recognizes could be either wider stones or they could be superiorly made stones, and therefore that's what he would gain. So our Mishnah in conclusion, three, going back to the Mishnah, 3 pshatim. The Bayis Aliyah Shel Shneim Shenaflu is Shneim Cholkin, is where it fell down. You don't know how it fell down. It was cleaned up, and it's in the Rishus of both of them, or Rishus Rabim, or they're not makbid. Okay. V'royin elu avonim asuyus lishtaver, and if we can tell from the way it fell, then we go according to the way it fell. If it collapsed, we know the broken ones are from the bottom person, and the whole ones are from the top. If it fell like a stick, we know the broken ones are from the top person. They fell a distance away, and that's from the bottom person. Good. And imhoya makir mixas avanav noitlid, he would take it. Take it. Why? Because what's this kaina? It's a moedim mixas, but it's an eni idea. Since he doesn't know, the other person will collect, and that's the shur moedim mixas we learn. Again, the Mishnah understands that you know a little Gemara by now. It's taking this big concept that we went in, and it's going, guys, in a few lines, it's going like this, We spent so much time on this, and it's going because, again, by this time, it expects some way that you understand what's going on. And finally, for Oilis min HaCheshbon, we have Machloikis. According to Rava, it adds to your Cheshbon of your Shleimos versus the Shurais. According to Baya, it does not add to your Cheshbon. It keeps it the Cheshbon the same, but you will get, in your Cheshbon, you'll get particular ones that you recognize, which would be advantageous if they're superior in their quality or wider.
We can't say this far here that Adam wrote said the Kav Shalo. The person wants his own stuff.
I know. It doesn't necessarily mean he made the house. Doesn't necessarily mean he was the builder of the house. And I don't know why a person would love his brick more. He didn't work on the brick. If you're telling me he worked on the brick, then it might be a svara, but I'm not sure. And there's lav dafka that he worked on the brick. It could have been. Usually, by a person who makes the house, you normally make his own bricks, and normally does he always build his own house? I don't know. Anyway, thank everyone for listening.